Good morning. This is Gaming Perspectives with
Saul
and Jolene, and today we're talking about players not knowing the rules.
Those darn players. So this GM was lamenting that he had been running D&D for 10 sessions, and still his players did not know things about their characters, about sometimes their special abilities. He specifically outed his rogue, who I guess there's some. Of course, every character in D&D has, like, after a few levels, they have a special abilities that they gain, and the rogue is like, if you use your, I don't know, your sneaky attack, you get bonuses, right? Player was playing, and then the GM noticed that he wasn't using this sneaky attack or bonus that this character had, and he told him, don't forget about your this or that. And he goes, oh. And then he realized that, like, none of his players, well, he might have been exaggerating, because I find it hard to believe that none of his players were using their characters to their,
to their advantage.
To all their abilities, to all their advantages, right? And anyway, so he posted that on Reddit. They posted on Reddit, and I read it, and then I was looking at the responses, and a lot of people hate players, right? Because they said it was all their fault.
They hate players.
Well, they really put the onus on the player, right? They should know what they're playing. That's ridiculous. You should find new players and this and that. I'm like, man, they're really going after these players.
Well, maybe they should take time. The GM and in general should take time to go over with the player what their character does, especially if it's a new system. Are these new D&D players or are they old D&D players?
That is the question, right? There's just not enough information on that. And that's one of the things I was thinking is, how much experience do these players have? If it's their first time playing any role-playing game,
then there's a learning curve, right?
And there's a learning curve. There's things that you don't even think about. I'm guessing, because it's been, I can't remember when I first played. I mean, like, I can remember, but I don't remember the trials and tribulations of first learning how to play. You know what I mean?
I can understand, though. I can understand the GM's frustration with the fact that the players don't know what their characters can do.
Of course.
But I can also understand from a player's point of view, me as a player, I like a lot of times in D&D I play a sorceress because that's what I know, right? Because I know how to use a sorceress in D&D and the Pathfinder, the first edition. But I haven't played Pathfinder for a long time, so I would need a refresher. But in D&D, when you're a sorceress, you don't have to memorize your spells each day. You don't have like a wizard. You don't have to, like a paladin, choose a paladin. No, like a cleric, choose what spells you're going to use for that day. You don't have to do that. You have all your spells available to you, and you know how many times you can throw them in what slots, right? And you, as a player, I wrote down all my spells, and I knew exactly what they did and what I needed to do them. But I do know some people who have been sitting at tables and they're playing a magic user, and they're like, well, let me look through my list of spells. What did I do? Did I memorize those spells? I don't think I memorized that spell this day. And as a player, just sitting there is frustrating to me, knowing that they aren't prepared for that. But also, I can understand that, because a lot of times you're coming in to play on a Saturday, you had to do your chores, take your kids somewhere, there you are, and let's go. And you're like, okay, let me sit down and read this for 5 minutes because it's been so long.
Well, again, we don't know enough details. We don't know how often they play. If these guys play every Friday, every weekend, and this is their 10th time in a row, you would think that the players would get what their characters can do. But on top of that, though, you also advance. Some people advance really quickly, depending on the GM and depending what system they're using to gain levels. We're talking about D&D, so it's a level system, and what new abilities the characters can have. So, as if you're playing a lot of long sessions, 8-hour sessions, 6-hour sessions, or longer, you're going to get more experience. Or some people say, well, after a whole session, after 2 sessions, you go up a level. So in theory, these guys could be 5th level after 10 sessions, because let's say every two sessions you gain a level, which is fine. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. But sometimes you get some special abilities, and they might be new to you, and so you may not remember them all.
My GM never lets us go up that fast. I mean, even if you were
Guilty as charged.
he takes the dishing out experience in small doses, so you can get used to your first level character.
Oh yeah, you get really used to them.
Yeah, but no, I know what you mean. In D&D 5th edition, one of the things that I really like about it is that every other level, one level, you can add a point to something.
I think you also, every time you gain a level, you
get to add hit points. And you get to add one level. You get to add a point to some attribute, and then on another level you get something
like a special
skill or an ability. Yeah. Which I know this because the boys were always saying when they were younger. No, they're not teenagers anymore. When they were teenagers, they were always saying, "Oh, it's okay, Jolene. We just get hit points and add 1 point to an ability this level. It's not until next time that it's good." And I remember them saying that.
I remember them saying that too.
Oh, okay. So I need to look and see what I can add next time.
Yeah, I remember saying that, like, "Oh, this is the throwaway level. All you get is more hit points and an ability score raised by 1." Hello.
And these guys were fighters, right? So they had like 90 something hit points, and I'm down here with my 40 hit points trying not to die.
So there is an example of mini maximizers, and usually those types of players are not going to forget what kind of abilities they have,
and they're going to remind you of what your abilities are too.
Yes, I mean you're another fellow player.
Yeah, another.
And they'll tell the GM, "Oh, you got that wrong." Usually, because they're rules lawyers at some point.
And see, that's where this story that Saul read, that none of the players knew the rules, hit me like, that can't be right, because I've never been at a table where none of the players knew the rules.
I mean, I think it might have been, this GM was exaggerating that point, because you're right. I played at tables with players that, of all kinds, right, who were sort of interested in playing to totally in the game and like ready to go. And some people who were like, "Oh, I haven't looked at my character sheet in 2 months," to like, "I've been toying with this character sheet over and over again, trying to find a maximum whatever that I can get out of it." So you have those different levels of those different types of players, and for one table to have just everybody doesn't pay attention, or the players are not invested in their characters enough to know what their characters can do, seems kind of like exaggeration. I'm not saying it couldn't happen. I'm just saying it sounds kind of questionable, far-fetched.
I also think that the GM, I can understand the frustration that he might be feeling, but on the other hand, I play with lots of GMs, and every single one of them that I know will take the time to go over stuff with you.
Right.
Will stop them in the game to explain what's happening if everybody is like totally confused, and will gladly tell you what your character can or can't do. Right.
Right.
And even look at it with you, or help you, show you where the pages are, what you need to read, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The only thing that I found when I was looking at this topic was that there are some people who the GM is the only one that has the rules.
That's another question. I was wondering about that myself, is if the GM is the only one with the rule book.
Now, in the olden days, before there were PDFs available.
Oh, well, you're talking the Stone Age.
You would literally, I remember Saul would photocopy something for somebody so they could read their character's part of it, right? But then again, once eBay came along, Saul started buying people the books, cheap books, so that more than one person could have a copy of the rules, right?
I only did that with a couple of games, and it didn't.
Games.
It didn't work out very well.
Let's say 10.
It was the one Ring is the only one I really did that with. That I really wanted to play.
And you did get to.
Of course, but it wasn't with the people that
you gave the book to. Yeah. I know.
Bastards.
But that could be that could be something to look at.
Oh, definitely.
If you're the only one with the rule book, then you need to give each player a chance to somehow either give them a PDF, get them a book, show them where they can get a book.
Yeah, I mean, that's less and less likely these days, but it is possible that they don't have the rules. And as far as I know, you could get the first 5 levels of rules online online. They don't give you the PDF, but you go online and look at them and read them. But a lot of things some people don't like to read. Some people have a hard time learning a certain way. Like us learning a new board game, right? We could read the rules, but we rather actually watch somebody tell us how to play.
Oh, it's a hybrid. We like to read the rules and watch somebody tell us how to play.
And they're like, "What are you talking about?"
And that's only because the people that we play with are very, my friend Steve. If there's a rule that can be ambiguous or interpreted more than one way, he will interpret it the opposite way of everybody at the table.
Not always, but he does have a certain way of.
Is that may or can you do it, or do you have to do it?
Yes.
And
those words are important.
Yes,
especially
words are very
in board
important.
games. And I think that those kind of situations do apply in role playing games, right? If it says may or you must, right? Usually there's no must.
That's a total another topic.
No, but what I'm saying, you're right. That is a total different subject. But I think you got different kinds of players who learn differently. So you just can't say, well, here's a rule book, learn it, live it, come back and make sure you know it all.
Well, I've said this before, like if you're playing Shadowrun, which is a really crunchy system.
Yes.
I had to go online onto YouTube and
remember.
actually watch this guy put little stick figures out there and told me
fantastic.
how to do spells and what all the rules meant. And he had one for like every section that I needed. And that helped me to learn how to play my character.
Right.
So there are actual plays. There are numerous, probably too many to name, places on YouTube that you can go and someone will tell you how to play a fighter, why you do it,
or
this
how to
way,
make one,
or what this rule set means,
right?
How you're going to make your character, what you put into the character, all that kind of stuff. So it's not like there's not a lot of information out there for people to learn how to play a character that they want to play.
I think that was one of the big criticisms that I saw most on the Reddit thread. It was a lot of people saying that the players didn't care enough. They should be more invested in the game. They should be more invested in their characters. I mean, some people just find a new group.
Well, I think that might be a little extreme.
Exactly.
And also, it depends on if D&D if it's the first time you're playing it, there is a learning curve. But like Saul is always trying to get us to play new games, and I know my friend Sep, he doesn't like to learn new rule sets because he's like, I invested all this time learning this rule set. Now you want me to learn another one. And it takes a long time to read through it. And he's thorough, right? He wants to read through it. He wants to know what his character can do, how the combat works, all the different, how you play, how the system works and stuff. So it's like a time investment. And he goes, and we're only going to play it like once every 6 months. And then I'm going to have to relearn it.
Or we play it one time and then that's it.
Because nobody liked it.
Or we're moving on to the next new shiny thing. I think you're right. I think when players are invested in their game or not invested, that could be a big problem. And like for Sip, for a new game, he's going to show a lot less interest unless it's a game or genre that he is interested in. So I think, for example, I don't know what kind of game Sip would really be. Like Outgunned, I think he would have liked playing Outgunned.
He was too busy.
But he was too busy, right? So I understand that concept of interest versus how much am I going to invest in this character when I'm not really that interested in it. Again, we don't know the particulars of this table, whether how often they play, how old they are too. Like if you have really young players, they may not care about the minutia of the. They just want to roll dice and kill things and be wahoo, go crazy. Now my son and his friends weren't like that. They were like we're going to go after this monster. We're going to kill the monster, get experience, and keep going up in levels because there's a lot of goodies when you go up in levels.
They also read the whole book.
Right. Yeah, they were very knowledgeable about Pathfinder and then D&D.
That was the requirement to be able to play Pathfinder when they were, 7?
7.
I think they were Augustine and Alan.
I tossed the book and they were like, read those rules. And when you finish
for the next like
year.
Probably, yeah, 6 months to a year. Whenever we were together, they were sitting on the couch with the Pathfinder book in front of them, reading it.
Reading it to each other, and they're like, "What does that word mean?" I'm like, "I don't know." So it was pretty funny, and they were highly motivated, right? That was the question: are the players motivated to play this game?
And they were highly motivated. One, and not only that, that's the best way to get your kid to learn how to read, right?
Oh my
Give
God.
them something they want to do, and give them the book, and they really wanted to. They really wanted to play that game.
If anything, one thing is that they had an extensive vocabulary that most kids at their age didn't have. Talks of opportunity. Well, what does that mean? Well, opportunity, and just other words that are not everyday vocabulary.
And now
words.
they're both math heads, so I mean, Pathfinder was good for that, right? So,
Mathfinder.
So there's a lot of skills in doing creating your character and learning the rules of a game.
Right.
So it takes a little bit of time.
It does take a bit of time. And somebody said, well, D&D isn't that country of a rule system. I go, yes, it is. If you've never played, I'm taking it from the point of view, if you've never played and you've just seen these people play online, let's say Critical Role, and like they're espousing and they're playing, oh man, that looks pretty cool. It's like acting, and then every once in a while they roll dice and they're like, oh, I blah blah blah, and I take an arrow to the shoulder and I whatever, and they aptly describe what happens, and they're like, wow, that's pretty cool. On the other hand, if you watch an actual play of like real people playing, they're like, oh well, okay, what
Which
how much
dice was I supposed to
how
roll?
much damage is that the bolt thrower to do? Oh, but I got I have armor on though. What does that mean? And that smoothness of Critical Role, which is made by professionals. Let's say that's what they are. They're professional actors, and so they know how to put on a show, and that's what they're doing. They're putting on a show, people. So a lot of people get confused that that's the way people play. No, I want you to go somewhere where it's not a big production. Forget about the glass cannon. Forget about those other ones. Go to like the guy has one cell phone camera on, or maybe on the side, and they're all around the table figuring out what to do or how to do it. And then you learn, and he learned that, they talk out of character. They go, hold on, that's not the rule. And they open up the book and they read the, how many times do they ever do that in Critical Role? I don't think I've ever seen them pause the game to look up something.
Especially if you're new to the system. I know all the people that we play with, a lot of times we do one-shots because people want to see what a game is like or try it out. And there's a lot of stopping to see, how does this work? What are the two? What's the attribute and the ability that you put together?
Right.
What does this mean?
Just basically how do things work?
How is it? How do you resolve the conflict or resolve what you want to do?
Well, Outgun, which is not a very particularly difficult system, there was some things that like failing and then succeeding, or failing a partial success. And Bay goes, no, there's no system for that. And then Morgan goes, yeah, on page 88 it says. And I was looking at that page. I go, yeah, there's something about. And he goes, oh, and it's just something he missed, right? It's on just one page. It tells you how to fail with pizzazz or whatever. So you don't necessarily succeed and have this success and fail option. There's ability that you can still do what you want to do, but then you pay for it in other ways, right? You get to the shot off, or you get the action that you want, but then you fall prone and at the enemy's feet or something like that. So I think even simple rules and roll 20. I mean, Outgunned is maybe, I don't think it's even 200 pages, right? And a lot of it is filled with pictures, right? So that takes up space, and the actual rules of it, you could probably condense it into less than 50 pages. And so a lot of that is just explanation of how things work, and telling you just blow things up and have fun, because that's what this game's about. And that kind of information, or that kind of thematic explanation of things. So in reality, the rules is literally like 10 pages of how the rules work. Doubles, triples, quadruples, and how you mitigate the damage and stuff like that.
I think another thing you should take into consideration when you're playing a new set of rules, or even with players who are new to the set of rules, is that the rules aren't always all on one page.
Right.
So combat is someplace. How to deal how to deal in certain situations is on a different page,
Right.
and how you're going to be able to resolve that. What dice you roll. What you can use to enhance your rolls, like a Benny or what do you call it, momentum,
Right.
something like that. That's not always going to be in the same place.
And what you can do with those kind of meta currencies, they call them, bennies, momentum, fate points, fortune points, depending on what game you're playing. And I mean, some of them allow you to do like really amazing things, and other times it's just like, oh, you get a +2 to this, or you get
You
a
can
bonus.
re-roll.
You can re-roll, and then I think it means less. But like in Outgunned, you could literally just control the scene. You go, okay, I'm going to use I forget what a spotlight point, and then you basically describe what happens in the scene
Right.
and try to make it as wonderful as you can. And I think that's pretty interesting. I think that's like, wow, that's a lot of control that the players can have, and some GMs may not want to lose that kind of control. I know for a fact that sometimes I'm a little weary about players doing something like that, but after a while, I know a lot of the players that I play with for a long time, and they're not going to be jerks, right? They're not going to be jerks to the other players. They're not going to
Yeah.
derail the story that they think I'm on or I'm putting out. And so I think when we have that kind of trust between player and GM, I think it goes a little bit smoother. And I think that's what sometimes here is that the GM and the players have to talk, right? Like the GM, I don't know if he talked to his players and said, you know what, you guys have to invest a little bit more time in knowing what your characters can do, because I keep having to remind you guys, and
Oh,
I got the whole game to run.
right. I think the solutions to this are,
Okay.
when you're going to play a game, if the players are new to it, you should show them, like, and I'm it's just session 0. I don't particularly like that term, but before you play the game,
You need a session 0.
you should tell them, this is what we're doing, and have everybody concur and agree. How do you want this game to go? And then when they're making the characters, make sure that they understand what their characters can do.
Right.
And then in the first couple of games, explain, you should use that. And if they forget about it, that's their fault.
Right. I mean, it was weird because the GM in this case was talking about how he had to remind the rogue to his special ability. Why did he have to remind him? Just go without it. Well, you forgot. I'm not in charge of your character. I'm in charge of every other character in the world. You guys should be in charge of your own character. You're right. I mean, that sounds kind of mean, but that you do that after you have this very candid conversation with your players about what kind of game you want to play, what your intention of, like, what you as a GM, why are you running this game, and what tone you're trying to go for, what feeling or anything that will describe your way of running the game or the type of game you want to GM. And it may not gel with the players at all. I mean, this one person was saying about how players they were being they were being very cavalier about, joking around about their characters and this and that. I think it was like an Aliens game, and how they were like goofing off and stuff. But then when the game started, they were adamantly like they didn't want to do anything because they knew that their characters were very squishy, right? Because you knew aliens could kill them with one swipe, and then really, they could just go crazy.
Well, that's kind of silly in an alien game, because you know that the alien's coming for you, so you better do something.
Well, there's that, and the GM was kind of frustrated because they wouldn't move, they wouldn't do anything that could possibly put them in a any kind of a compromised position.
Well, all I know is that my GM wouldn't give me a flame thrower, and all I wanted was a flame thrower in Alien.
That's all.
That's all. Because when you go around a corner, it's good. It's a good thing to have.
You were miners or something like that, not like the Colonial Marines. You're right, but I think The meeting of the minds, I've talked about it before. Talk to your players about what you want, and then they could talk to you about what kind of game they want to play.
Right.
Like if you're talking about a serious, king builder or king maker kind of game where there might be some funny parts of it, but it's a very serious game where your players want to play, Dungeons and Dragons, like the movie, right?
Yeah.
This kind of a comical, goofy.
I'm sorry, but when you play Dungeons and Dragons, it's always going to come out comical and goofy. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, yeah, right. But I think some games, like the gamers, right, where it's just joke after joke after joke, and if you're a GM expecting a slightly more serious tone to your game, that's not going to work for you. Then you're going to be upset either way. So I think that's the best thing you can do as a GM is talk to your players and explain the expectations that you as a GM are expecting of them. If you say, well, we only have one rule book, whatever the situation, right? Let's share a PDF or let's all buy the PDF. They go on sale. I'm not talking about D&D because D&D, I don't think they even sell PDFs. But other game systems do, and they can be quite cheap, and you can get them at pretty decent prices. And everybody should have a copy of the rules. And that really does help and alleviate a lot of these problems where players don't know stuff or they're not as informed as they should be or as informed as the GM wants them to be.
Well, as a player, what are some of the things you should do?
Oh, just make things easier for yourself, right? If you're going to play a certain kind of character, read up on what that character can do. If there's character classes or if there's rules that, like Shadowrun, there's no character classes, but there's things your character can do, abilities and stuff. Read those abilities, understand those abilities, and then when the GM says, oh, make this kind of roll, you know what that entails. Now, Shadowrun is a ton of different things, and it's a lot of rules, so that's probably like the least
player friendly,
and GM friendly. But if you can master something like that, and what I do is I keep everything. When I'm playing, I try to keep everything as simple as I can, right? There's a character sheet. How much information does this character sheet have on it? And what doesn't it have on it? What doesn't it have enough room for? Oh, it doesn't have enough room for all my feats. You know what? I can't scritch all the information of a feat on the little 2 lines they give you.
Make a new page and copy and paste it or something.
Copy and paste it. Or I like the index cards, right? I write out the whole thing on an index card, and I go, oh, I got this ability, and explain, for me, in my own terms, so I understand it, explain what it means.
I think when we were playing D&D 5th edition, that Steve had they had spell cards for every single...
The cleric,
whatever,
the wizard,
and he used that spell card deck for the cleric.
Yes,
and that was a great idea.
Yes,
I didn't do that. I just copied and pasted from the PDF or whatever online. And
yeah, I think I have I bought some.
Yeah, you did
some arcane spell ones like the.
I think
the
you
sorcerer.
bought some more than that.
I might have bought a couple sets, but anyway, you're right. That is basically what I'm saying is have spell cards, right? But you don't have to go out and buy them. Is what I'm saying. You can make your own.
That's what I just said. I didn't go out and buy them. I made my own.
I think I bought them for you.
I don't think I used them though because that seemed too much work to find them.
Find them and then keep
versus
them.
Versus my little page that had everything.
You're right. You could just copy and paste onto a page, any kind of page,
and print
them out.
As a player, you should always be prepared, right? And I know that this talk is about people that aren't prepared or don't know the rules, but as a player, you should know what your character does. So, and you should also be paying enough attention in the game when it comes to your turn that you know what you're doing, because as a player, that's one of the frustrating things for me sometimes when people are like, well, let me think about what I want to do. And I'm like, well, you were 5th in the initiative. You had all those players to go through before you decided what to do. So I can see being frustrated as a player and a GM on that one, right?
Right. I think that does happen when people are distracted or not paying attention or just, caught in their own mind. And then all of a sudden like, oh, it's my turn? Like, what? Like you said, you're 5th in the initiative, and that almost last, and you're asking me if it's your turn. Yes, it's your turn. So you're right. As a player, But then again, I think it comes down to investment, right? How invested in the players in the game. If they're not really all that interested, they're never gonna be ready. They're never gonna have all the rules. They're never gonna have their character updated, or they're never gonna have the character know what their character can do because they're just like,
Well, and if that is a person in your group, and they're your friend, and they've been your friend for 20 years, 5 years, whatever, they're your best friend, and
it's time to find your best friend.
No, you're just gonna you're gonna compensate for that, right?
Oh,
you're gonna go. The GM is gonna go. Okay, what are you gonna do, Sean? And then Sean goes, I'm not sure. I don't know. And then you go, somebody else at the table who is their best friend is going to say, why don't you do this? Whether they're their best friend or not, someone at the table is going to say that.
yes.
And then they're going to go, and then as the GM, you go, do you want to do that? And then you tell them what to roll, and you do it, and you move on, right? Because they're your friend, they're part of your group, and even though that's their playing style, they have never been invested in anything.
Yeah,
but you want them there.
If you want them there at whatever cost, then obviously you're going to do things to have them there,
right?
And not to impede or derail the flow of the game as much as possible.
Well, and as the GM, you can say, if you don't know what you want to do, I'm going to move on. I'll come back to you.
Right. Think about it.
And then think about what you're going to do. Or you can say, give them options. Do you want to do this or do you want to do that?
Yes, A or B.
And I know everybody's going to say that's taking away player agency, but if the person doesn't know what they want to do, give them a choice.
Right. I mean, that's true. I mean, you're right. The people talk about player agency, and I'm like, well, yeah, but if the player isn't like thinking about anything or can't think of anything, you give them choices so at least they feel like they're participating in the game, and they are participating in the game, but they are more. But then they are participating in the game instead of just like, oh, I don't know what to do, guys. And then, like a deer caught in headlights, everybody's shouting at them. But as a GM, you're like, okay, you could do this or that. You decide, and then just go from there. Just try to make it flow as quickly as possible. I think this isn't really a big problem.
It's not a problem in any group that I play with, really. I mean, sometimes people have an off day, but most of the time, every single person that I play with has an idea of what they want to do.
Right. Because, like, for example, we played Outgun last Friday, and my friend Tom, who hadn't played in a role-playing game since he was in his 20s probably, and he's now 60s. Ugh, wow. In over 40 years, he hasn't probably hasn't played. And
maybe with Mike.
I don't think so. I'm gonna have to call you, ask you about Tom. Call in and tell us when was the last time you played. But he thought he was like, well, I don't want to play. I don't want to slow you guys down, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and he didn't know this. He didn't know, nobody knew the system.
Nobody knew the system.
And he was even more worried about slowing us down, right? Because he hadn't role played. I'm using air quotes in a long time. I'm like, you know how to role play, dude. You used to do it. It's the same thing. We're sitting around the table talking. That's all we do. He goes like, well, okay. And then after the game, he did pretty good, right?
And he had fun.
He had fun. And that's the whole point of why we're here, to have fun. And I think he goes, well, I don't think I did too good. I go, what are you talking about?
He did great.
Yeah. I mean, for a person who hadn't role played and was like he was a little hesitant, a little worried about how our role playing chops were going to impede the game. It didn't, right?
The only thing that he had to worry about was being able to get what he wanted to do into the conversation, because everybody in that group will tell you exactly what they want to do and how it's going to happen, and then roll the dice.
So I think when we get down to the nitty gritty, it's probably the best thing as a GM, talk to your players and really have a good, like I say, a meeting of the minds, and that's almost a legal term. Where it is, if like in contracts, if there's no meeting of the minds, a contract is invalid, right? And so and it's a contract between players and GMs in a social sense, right? I want to have fun, you want to have fun. How do we have fun? Well, we play this game, and this game has rules. I mean, it is a social contract. So, well, what do you want to play? I want to play Murder Clowns from Outer Space.
It's not.
And I want to play Downton Abbey. Well, those two people are not going to be able to run this game and play the same system, because they're looking for totally different things. Hopefully, you're playing with people who mimic or are on par with what you want to play, and have fun with the way you want to play, right? The way in a way that you're gonna have fun is gonna be the same as they like to have fun that way. If it's murder hoboing or the other person wants, I want a really intense drama type of thing. They're too different for you guys to have fun
Well,
together.
they could have fun together in that one. You just have to pick your moments.
Yes, that's true. But again, if you talk to your players, I think this issue can definitely be resolved. And just try to figure out why your players are not paying attention or why do they seem so scattered about their characters. And I think it's a situation that can easily be solved by GMs and players getting together and having a nice long talk.
Yes. I totally agree.
All right.
So good luck. And that's it.
And have a good day.
This is Gaming Perspectives with
Saul
and Jolene.
and you still have a good day.